Welcome to Martial Arts Explorer, where we explore practical techniques as revealed in classical martial arts of all styles. I'm Scott Combs. Tommy from Singapore sent us an email, a long email. Tommy would like to become a complete martial artist. In his note, he asked a number of questions. Quote, I'm 19 this year, I did some serious scouting, and other than boxing and Krav Maga, I couldn't find any qualified coach locally for the following disciplines: Tai Chi, Chinese Kung Fu, Aikido, wrestling, Jiu-Jitsu, pressure point fighting, as well as the training method your school, Full Circle Martial Arts, or the ones in the podcast offers. I was hoping you would be able to help because on V2 P38, Scott was addressing this fan from UK, and he said he'd be able to provide contact details of qualified instructors to the fan. I thought, hey, what's the harm in asking you guys? Before answering that question, I have a question or two of my own. Tommy, do you plan on sleeping, going to school, meeting a nice girl, settling down, and giving us some grandchildren? I'll give you this. You're ambitious. The closest school we are aware of is in Chengdu, China. But perhaps some of our other viewers are aware of a few good instructors in Singapore and will send us an email to explorer@martialartsexplorer.tv. Even more from Tommy in our next show. This time, Michael is exploring how you might use a high-low strike as a throw.
Thanks, Scott. We're going to look at Pinyan Godan, or Pinyan 5 today. There's a section in this form which has a move that comes across like this. I'm back in a cat stance. I'm working a down block and basically a middle counter of sorts or a high outside counter. Your choice, doesn't really matter. This basic motion. Now you'll notice the great thing is this is very close to this motion found in so many katas, a basic down strike and an outside counter, a high punch, or even wider versions coming out in this direction. It's all very similar. This just happens to have a forward stance instead of a horse stance coming in this direction. Now we have a nice little move for this. John's going to come in and join me. We'll work from our first touch scenario. Now remember, so many times in self-defense, we're not talking ballistic situation. The fight hasn't started. We're not boxing or wrestling at this point. The fight's just happening. He latches on. He starts to grab. I'm going to start to react. He grabs on to my coat, my jacket, my lapel. You know, remember, this isn't so important. What we're looking for is the idea that one hand is up. Now, if he had a hand flat at me, it works. If he's grabbing my shoulder, it works. That's the idea that we're looking for. He winds up. What am I going to do? One, if he's got a hold of me, it's a handle for me to hold back onto him. So I'm going to grab in, and I'm going to grab a couple points in here, and I can twist into these points. He throws his punch. I can't ignore it, right? So I'm going to strike it. We like to strike right in the bicep. Deaden the arm a little bit. Hit some of these points in here. This way. Here's your first one. He's probably going to wind back and hit you again or change tactics, but he still has a hold on you. So great. Use that. Strike into lung 5 and start to twist the body through. This turns him away from us. Now the move we're looking for pulls up and away, or actually I'm doing the other side of it. I'm doing this direction. So here's my down counter motion. What's it say? Reach around, pull, and lift. All right? That's what you're looking for. Twist and out. Now, if I'm doing it and I'm being nicer as I come in, I pull, I drop step, and I set my partners down. All right, a little easier. As you were doing this a little bit harder, I would simply strike in, start to rotate him through, reach and grab, and I would yank him back off his feet. I'm going to pull this back. I'm up-weighting him to get him moving, and then as I drop, I just simply turn the neck real quick with the head and throw his body back and over. So one more time. He grabs on, block 1, strike 2, turn, roll, pull in, lift, and back and through. All right, thanks, John. All right, so there we have Pinyan Godan, Pinyan 5, down counter motion with a middle counter this direction, which is very similar to all these other katas that have moves coming in and out. You're pulling lung 5 across the elbow, reaching around, grab and lift. All right, let's get the class and let them try it. All right, we're going to look at Pinyan 5 today, and this move that has a down counter and a middle counter coming up. Now, in the form, you're in a cat stance, but it's not so important to what you're actually doing here. We're looking more at the arm motions this time anyways. If Kelly's worked with me, it's starting off as a lapel grab or a front grab of some sort. The hand's in here. Now remember, if someone gives you something to hold on to, more often than not, lock into it, dig in the back of that thumb side and pull into this, all right? As this punch comes in, boom, weaken it up, protect yourself all the time. Strike lung 5. Lung 5 likes to be struck in and the slight forward twist here really pulls the body in. This tips her forward and gives me a nice easy reach. If they're way out here, I'm not going to be able to reach in, so we like to collapse this, and you're coming right in front of the elbow, the slight strike in at the end. Reach around, grab the chin. Now you might have to get in deep. You might need to climb into somebody, but from here you want to make sure and pull them back into you. And this is where I think of that cat stance. Cat stance, what does your weight do? It tends to sit back. So when I sit back, that's me pulling somebody in. Now I want to keep twisting. Don't just hold this hand here and not do anything with it. Keep turning it, and now I'm going to lift, stretch the head, and turn out and away this way. Now this mimics a lot of forms. We're using this from Pinyon Godan here, but it's not so different from moves from Shinto or so many other form systems that have these long stretched out moves. If I'm in here, I'm pulling through, collapse, bring in, stretch, and here, and there we are. So a lot of different applications for this. All right, guys, go ahead and give it a try. All right, so as you're doing this technique, you strike in and you bring up here. Instead of keeping your body in here and just moving his head, if you pull and then you pull this hand and now you want to step back when you do it, he just twists a little easier. So instead of trying to muscle him through with just your hand, drop body weight, drop back in your stance and pull him. You'll find it a little easier to do. Reach, collapse him in. There you go, even a little more. Once you get him to here, then drop and step. There it is, nice job. All right, this is looking pretty good. This is actually the first time most of these guys have seen this technique, so it's nice to see that it works pretty quick and easy and people are getting the hang of it. One thing you do want to remember is when you start this and you go for this wrap, if you can't easily reach that chin, close the distance yourself. You don't have to always try and pull someone to you. If they're a lot bigger than you, you might have a hard time. You might need to step into them and get that reach and then seize them up tight. One other thing, I don't know if we've had this on the shows yet or not, but Master Instructor Dusty Seal was with us recently and he showed us a great technique that's virtually the same. Kelly, could you join me for a second? Master Seal was showing us that from this basic type of position, we do this as a down counter motion and we reach up and we grab hook, hair, ear, or jacket and turn, and he throws it into a down counter. Is his bunkai coming this way. He snaps through and throws this great move. Now the great thing about interpretation is you can get to the same place from different ideas, and that's exactly what we're doing. He uses a down counter motion to turn into this, and we were thinking, well, what's the up version of this? Instead of pulling down and away initially, we come into this move and we start lifting him up first, and then we twist and come back down. Just to give you guys an idea of how you can have different interpretations that end up with the same results and basically from the same setups, but you might have different things that remind you of that. Something to keep in mind as you guys are training and looking for stuff in your own forms. Thanks for joining us. Back to Scott.
Remember, it's the responsibility of the thrower to ensure the safety of the throwee. Your partner must have a safe landing area if you want to try this technique at home. We love hearing from you, and Tommy is counting on you. So send email to explorer@martialartsexplorer.tv. Please don't forget about the imminent appearance of the martialartsexplorer.tv website. We'll keep you posted on our progress. For Martial Arts Explorer and Michael Kleinepeer, I'm Scott Combs.